I think it would easily be 6 months before we saw that. It could, I mean, it kind of depends. At this point, we're really still at the beginning stages. It's only been a couple of weeks since the tragedy. And we're not sure exactly where the investigation is going to go. Depending what the investigation comes up with, I can easily see 6 months to, if the investigation gets very complex, even up to a year, because he's going to be held in confinement during that time, and the supposition is going to be, even though there are speedy trial protections in place, that his ultimate sentence is going to be something longer than 6 months to a year, and so the harm of delaying a trial would be minimized compared to, say, some other lesser case.
Let me say that I think that it is unlikely that any significant legal proceedings are going to happen until Dr. Hassan's medical condition fully stabilizes, because questions could be raised about his ability to participate intelligently in his own defense if he is on significant medications.
But I do think there are speedy trial issues, and if he is kept in pretrial confinement, I do think you're not talking, years before things happen on this case. I mean, I think within, medical condition notwithstanding, I think 3 to 6 months there should be some of these steps taking place. Perhaps first the sanity hearing if someone requests that, or if not, an alternative, the Article 32 hearing, which is the kind of the preliminary hearing to make a recommendation to go forward. I would expect that you'd see one of those two steps in the next matter of months, depending on the medical condition. I think that you're right, that'll be sorted out first.
And did you say
and of course, the one of the major speed bumps, it's more than a speed bump, in the military system, unique to the military system, is you can't have a capital sentence carried into execution without the affirmative approval of the President of the United States. And the fact is that presidents have not been quick to act on capital cases. I think they're the type of business that outgoing presidents are perfectly happy to leave on the president's desk in the Oval Office on inauguration days and let their successor worry about. If I were to guess, I would say, this is mid-November, I would say a trial might well be over a year from now. Well, fast or slow. The military, we in the Washington area are familiar with something called the Rocket Docket, which is the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia. The military does not function as a rocket docket, particularly in these cases. Even though it is sometimes said that the purpose of the military justice system is to dispense prompt, lickety-split type justice, it actually doesn't function that way. It's quite a deliberate process.
To your first question, my understanding is actually that he, right now, if I'm not mistaken, is actually not at Fort Hood anymore. He's down in San Antonio at his medical center, so if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And so the expectation of where he would be following that, I mean, he will most likely be kept in pretrial confinement. I don't know that he'll go back to Fort Hood. He very well may stay down in San Antonio, and it also may function as a result of if and where the trials move to. And so I think the answer is he could, the ability is to put him either wherever is okay. Again, the jurisdictions worldwide, there's not a legal impediment to where he goes. There's probably a practical constraint. My guess is I don't know why they would bring him back to Fort Hood unless they were going to kind of have the trial there. But I think it just creates more complications than they want by bringing him back there.
In terms of the venue question, obviously this case has generated a lot of national and international attention already. So one of the challenges is going to be finding jurors in the military justice system, they're called members, who are impartial and who have not prejudged the case. That happens in the civilian community as well. The military justice system, like the civilian justice system, has a process for screening jurors or members. It's called voir dire examination, and it affords the attorneys and the military judge an opportunity to put questions to the potential jurors just to make sure they haven't been exposed to really overwhelming prejudicial publicity, or that they don't come to the process with fixed views one way or the other that would preclude them from proper service as members of the court-martial. So that is certainly going to be an issue. It's going to be a challenge wherever this case is held. And the same is true, by the way, just to switch gears a little bit to the prosecutions that have just been moved from Guantanamo to the Southern District of New York. There are going to be issues about finding jurors who are fit to sit.
One unique thing about it, though, is that because Major Hassan is a high-ranking individual, because he's a major in the Army, he had the pool of jurors, if you will, is much, much smaller because he's entitled to a jury or panel members of officers. And so, again, within the military structure, there's many enlisted folks and many less officers. And so, and how the jury is picked, the panel is picked, is typically by that convening authority. He picks soldiers from within his jurisdiction. And so, when you're dealing with a commanding general at Fort Hood, the number of soldiers he has there is quite great, 20,000 or so, but the number of officers is a much, much smaller subset of that, 10% or so. And so the pool of folks that you can pick from a jury when you're looking for officers, it just is, that will be kind of an added wrinkle because of Major Hassan's rank.
Right, and remember that the members of the jury, the members of the court-martial, have to be senior to the accused. So these officers would presumably be either light colonels or above. I wouldn't be surprised if there were one or more generals, for example, on this panel. Or some of them might be majors, but who are simply higher than Dr. Hassan on the active duty list in their date of rank.